Welcome to a 1 versus 1 between dawidzawadka. I think I'm gonna call him David. Starting here as shield bots and an engineer commander. And you can see here that insert name here starts with a strike commander and a hover factory. You can see here that he made the mistake of having the factory that he plays intersect with his commander, which means that he's gonna have to move out of the way first and then build the factory. That loses him a few seconds, while dawidzawadka didn't have that problem. And you can see here that both players are going for a pretty economic start with cons and with insert name just makes one dagger here. And if we look at the map, going hovers on this map is a bit questionable. Like you can see here that the hover units, they can go in a lot of places like these hills, but also they cannot go in hills like these where bots can path up. So yeah, that's a little issue. Like you also have this little land that the hovers are gonna struggle a bit to go up and down for, and hovers are just hovers, rovers, and tanks just struggle to go uphill. They get a lot slower when they go uphill. There's also like this piece of terrain that bots can pass, and this was a nice place to raid. Like people generally play some winds up here, and then you can raid that with bots, but not with hovers. Yeah, and this hill as well on the enemy side, which is mirrored like this. Yeah, you can't go down there and raid from there. So going hovers on this map is a little bit questionable. But let's see how insert utilizes his hovers on this map. Like there are a few areas that are limited by going hovers, rovers, or tanks, but yeah, bots don't still get, like you could go spiders well for the all terrain, but actually bots do fairly well even against spiders, so being able to use his cliffs as spider is not that easy. Anyway, I think, let's see what he goes for. Like he goes for a pretty economic start here. You probably want to try to balance your energy and metal income a bit better if you can, but it's not critical yet. He's starting to build energy, so that's nice, and he's gonna expand over here. Yeah, he's pretty decently balanced economy, so that's good. His opponent, meanwhile, is starting to gather up quite a bit of metal, and you scalp the enemy commander with your dagger. If you pay attention, which might be hard to do, like paying attention to your base while building and expanding all at the same time could be a bit hard, so yeah, it's easy to run into an enemy command like that, or run into a lotus turret or enemy raiders and such. So, but if you have the attention to keep up, you can try to avoid commanders, because you generally have longer line of sight with your raiders than the range of commanders. So yeah, you can avoid commanders if you pay a lot of attention. Like the commander has how much? He has like 500 elmos of like your, yeah. They have longer range, like 560 sight versus just 330 range of the weapons. So yeah, and you're playing it pretty safe here, going for 2 lotus turrets. That's fine, I think. You don't know, maybe you saw the shield, but you probably don't quite know what matchup you're up against. If you see shields, yeah, the convict shields, you can see them from out of line of sight a bit further, then you know what matchup you're in. And here comes the first raiding, we call it. You're driving straight into 3 bandits, and oof, will we be able to get something on? No, there's a bandit here, so probably not. Killed 1 bandit and lost a bolas. So not that cost effective, like not cost effective. Meanwhile, you're expanding decently, and you can see here that you're balancing your economy pretty well. But your enemy expansion is out of control. So yeah, you should look up some pointers like how to expand faster, maybe. Like the enemy has been kinda greedy, they went straight to the center with the commander. which is a pretty good thing to do on a map like this. Like if the enemy is in spider, you can basically cut off the enemy movement by making some defenses here. Then the enemy is not gonna have to go all the way around, or you can like, yeah, or even if you make defense here, it's a long way around to go if you're bots or hovers. And if he's paying attention, he would also know that he doesn't need to fear from this area. He could just pork here or up here, and you can't really circumvent that defense. So yeah, you're going pretty heavily into raiding while your opponent is expanding freely. So yeah, at this point, since you're expanding kind of slowly, yeah, you need to do damage with your raiding here. Like this is a pretty large force to go raiding with. And you're gonna take out the big mechs in the middle. Like you can see here, these mechs in the middle, they're worth 3, while the others are worth 1.87. So they're about 50% better, the ones in the middle. And you're going for the commander here with just, I mean, if the commander had been completely alone, you could probably have killed it. But yeah, there's a Lotus turret, 2 bandits, and a picketeer, so that was a bad choice to attack that. You killed 1 bandit and lost 4 bolas, so that's a really big blow. Like, now you lost, like you were going for an army early on, but now you lost all that army advantage, and you haven't expanded fast enough. So you're already set up for a really bad position. Like Insert requested this replay, and he wanted to know how to counter shield bots and shield balls. But yeah, already at this point you're so far behind. Like we could look at the total value here. You can see that you're already 1,000 behind. And we can see here the metal produced, the enemy's far ahead in metal produce. Well, they have been accessing quite a bit, so they're not quite as far ahead in metal use. They're just 400 metal ahead. And now you're going in again, and this is gonna be kind of tight. The enemy commander was kind of out of position, so this is gonna be kind of close, but not close enough. So you're not getting that commander. So yeah, now you're sacrificing your army for the way, trying to assassinate the enemy commander. And yeah, killing an enemy commander is good if you can do it, but if you're just not doing it, yeah, then you're just wasting your units. And now you're also starting to access, like you have expanded. This map has a lot of like easy expansion to take. So planning when you need these caretakers to be built is important in your build order. Like you need to figure out, you need to start building them a little bit earlier, I think. Although you didn't access that much. Like your opponent is accessing massively because they only have a few cons and they haven't even started to build caretakers. So that might give you a chance to get back in this game. But for now, like, yeah, the enemy has upgraded this commander with the shield and what else? Some more HP. Yeah, about that. So 4 might not be enough to kill him here, but it looks like you're gonna go for raiding. Meanwhile, you're being very defensive. Yeah, this is a bit too defensive, I think. I mean, if the enemies come with a heavy raiding force, yeah, it would be worth it. But the enemy hasn't even indicated that they're going for heavy raidings, so it's a bit much defense, I'd say, to just spread out like this. If the enemy is raiding heavily, it can be good. And it depends. If you can like scout the enemy to see how much raiders they're making, then maybe you can avoid making this much defense. Having 1 or 2 Lotus turrets next to your factory is always, like in this, I would say it's a pretty good idea to have, just in case the enemy sends a raiding force. Then you won't just lose the factory and you don't have to like worry so much about a few raiders coming to take your base. So yeah, you're doing some decent raiding up here. The enemy doesn't have any force really to respond. They have a few bandits and they're not responding. So yeah, this is pretty good, like to raid this, and yeah, you cut off the enemy economy. Meanwhile, yeah, and you're not gonna be able to go into this with just 2 bolas, but yeah, not really paying attention there. And yeah, this shield is too early for the enemy. They don't really have enough energy to support that shield. So yeah, we're expanding again pretty well behind, and with that And with the enemy losing those mexes, yeah, you're back in even metal income basically. You're even ahead. So yeah, you can see here you're catching up in total value. So there is comeback potential in this. Like yeah, you're pretty even now. And the enemies still, yeah, they're not accessing anymore, but they haven't really got their factory production up. So yeah, they've been lacking factory production and just making these defenses and morphing the commanders. So yeah, this commander has been upgraded for like 2,000 metals, so killing it would be pretty worth it. Like 2,000 metal, this army is about 2,000 metal, and that's like 12 bolas, 11, 12 bolas. So they could easily kill the commander. Like the shield doesn't do anything against bolas, you just drive in under the shield, kill the shield, and kill the commander. So yeah, this army could really take out the commander easily. So you take out the middle, this is good. You don't lose any bolas, this is good. Yeah, you can just keep roaming around. You probably don't know what the enemy is going for, but yeah, this commander is basically where they put all their economy in. You're a little bit slow, you're a little bit tacit here. You could be expanding with your commander here. Yeah, and again you're making lotus turrets here in the corners. If the enemy is raiding heavily, yeah, it can be a choice to make lotus turrets there. Yeah, and it looks like the enemy is trying to escape and going back down. Meanwhile, you're advancing, and you're doing pretty decent. You're advancing. I'm not sure how much of these defenses you have scouted, but yeah, the enemy has a bit of defense, so it could be risky to go in and try to kill this. Although you might be able to get it, it's close. Like there's a few bandits. It depends on the rogue hit. Let's see. Looks like you're gonna attack, or you're gonna go back. Yeah, it's pretty even. If you could be successful with this if you just go in and kill the defenses here first and then go against the factory. So you don't. One mistake you can do that is easy to do is that you go in against the enemy and then you don't quite kill the defenses out there and they keep doing damage to you all the time. Let's see. Yeah, you're losing quite heavily here. Bandits are pretty good actually against bolas. They have about the same range, so we can see here the range of bandits versus bolas is, yeah, it's pretty good for bandits. Like the bolas just has a little bit less range, so sometimes since the bandits turn so fast, they can almost kind of kite the bolas. So yeah, it's a matchup that's pretty hard to fight actually for the bolas against bandits, and especially if you're going in against defense and not just defending. If you had the attention, you could probably send like one bolas here, although you don't have radar, so you don't know if the enemy's building up here or not. So yeah, but if you had advanced with your commander more and maybe made a radar somewhere or had your commander's radar, maybe you would know then. Let's see here, the commander against this army, that's gonna be kind of closer. It's walking back to the defenses. Yeah, you can probably not take this fight. And here comes the bandits as well. So yeah, I don't think you're gonna get the commander. But you see, had you maybe focused the commander, it might have gone down. You would still have lost your fourth star, but it would probably have been worth it. The enemy's keeping... They're trying to invest even more in this commander. They're up to like 2,500 invested in this commander now. Even more. Yeah, and the rest of the army was kind of behind, so you're losing your army piecemeal basically here. And yeah, none of you are contesting the rest of the map, and the enemy is slowly expanding back to their territory. Yeah, so you almost got the commander there, so, and the shield almost got down, so it was pretty close there. If we look here at metal produced, you can see here that the enemy is producing more metal, but you're actually even on metal spent because the enemy has been accessing so much metal. But however, in total value, you can see here that you lost a lot in these attacks. You weren't cost effective at all. Like this commander is like, yeah, it's like 3,000 value now. So if you just kill that, or like 4,000, if you just kill that commander, yeah, it would have made cost if you just kill that commander. But yeah, at least you're spending your metal, that's good, but you could be expanding more. Expanding here in the middle with lotus turret like this, like you have down in the back, that's fine. That's just a good thing. Like you can make lotus bursts and be safe like this behind, but you can also try to keep a perimeter defense where you're always trying to make a perimeter of like lotus turret in the middle. And yet again, you go in against this commander piecemeal. You're letting the bolas and halberds run first, and then the rest of the army is catching up. And that means you're kind of losing your army piecemeal, and you're not being cost effective at all. And you can see that once the mace catches up, it's really effective at DPSing down the shields. Then it's just a problem of facing the rogues. Like, luckily for you, the rogues weren't skirmishing you, which they could do if they were an attack move. But luckily for you, they didn't, so you killed the rogues. Because otherwise, killing rogues as hover is a pain. Like the maces don't have enough range, and the scalpers don't have enough range. And yeah. But still, this commander can do a bit of damage, even though he wasted like, yeah, he upgraded for like 4,500 metal now, so that's a lot of like metal in this commander. It's still, you're still running into it piecemeal, like almost one by one, and losing your army. So yeah, that's not too good. And you're letting your bolas and halberds run in front and die first, and then the maces and scalpels coming afterwards. Yeah, but you're expanding here, that's pretty good. You're expanding and then making some lotus turrets, I see. And you're pushing here, but this army is really small again, and the enemy is repairing their commanders, so it's not gonna go down anytime soon. Yeah, but you're expanding behind this, so that's pretty good. Yeah. You're making an advanced radar tower in the middle. That seems a bit expensive. Yeah. This is a bit expensive, like the radar is probably gonna be blocked by hills anyway. Like if you look at these hills, they're gonna block this line of sight, I think. So yeah, we're gonna have to see what you can actually see with that radar once it's done. Like currently you can see the areas here where you can see the enemy. And if we look at the radar coverage, you can just about see here some, and here. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you don't see down here with the radar, like you see this area with the radar, but you don't see down there. So yeah, it's a thing you have to consider, like where's the line of sight for the radar in that sense. Like it will be blocked by terrain. So yeah, it doesn't see much from here, so to speak. Yeah. So that's a bit excessive on a hilly map like this. If you place it, like you could have placed the radar up here, or like here, and that's a pretty good position, although it would probably have died there, but yeah, there would have been a better position basically. Then it would also have been able to like see straight into the base. And yet again, you're doing the same thing, you're letting the halberds run first, and then the bolas comes, and there's shields, and it's a small army, and yeah. So this is not being cost effective at all. You can see the up here in the corner, the top right corner, you can see the attrition value, and you can see you're not being at all cost effective with your assaults. So yeah, you have been sending the same kind of sized armies many times now and not doing any progress. Also, I'm a bit, where did you send that Khan? Why haven't you taken this max? You built this advanced radar, this expensive advanced radar, but then you didn't take the mechs. That's kind of weird. Yeah. So for example, if you had the radar here, and the radar here, and the radar here, and the radar here, that's like 200 metal, and they would have done the same or better on this map than an advanced radar in the middle, because yeah, the advanced radar is blocked by hills and stuff. And yet again, you come out with a small army. It's almost like you're sending out smaller and smaller armies like this, and you're sending them to die. and you're sending the bolas first, and then the halberds first, and then the maces and skeletons come in and die. And it's, yeah, you need to manage your army better, like keep track on what it does, and yeah, you also need to know what you're going against. Like, this army is getting stronger. It was really weak. Sometimes it has only been down to the commander on like half health, and you almost got the commander. And killing the commander would have been a huge blow. Oh, he invested like 7,000 metal into this commander now, so yeah, that's a lot. So yeah, the commander is getting stronger, but usually it's not worth it to upgrade it this much. Like, yeah, they upgraded a lot, so it's getting stronger, but for the price, it's kind of expensive. So yeah, with an army just a fraction of the value of the commander, you could easily kill it, as you have almost done several times already. Now you're upgrading your own commander. Raiding with your commander here is risky because the enemy could just send out some bandits or surround it with units, and it's hard to get up this hill before you get the enemy can catch you when you're going up the hill. Yeah, then your commander is probably gonna die without support. So going in here and raiding with your commander could be worth it, but considering the army values that are being thrown around now, it's likely to just get killed by like bandit swarm or some rogues or stuff like that. So the enemy is going for lances. That's kind of interesting choice. I mean, they're gonna shoot and be valuable. Should you be going for lances? On this map, it's kind of hard to get lances in the right position where they have free line of sight. So it's not easy to use lances on this map. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still not sure. Like, these are mexes you haven't taken. This is a mex, another mex. This is mex. This in the corner is another mex you haven't taken. You could have been, yeah, you were here and built an advanced radar, but you didn't take the metal extractor in the middle. So, yeah. And here comes another small army. It's the same size as the last one that failed. And you're going against an even stronger enemy now. Oh, but you're retreating, that's nice. You notice that your army is gonna die. So yeah, you retreat and save some of the units, that's nice. Knowing when to retreat is a big, important skill in 0K, I think. You can't always expect to be able to push on and just make value. Sometimes you have to retreat. A lot of the time you have to like follow your enemy movements and be ready to strike when they're in bad positions and stuff like that. So yeah, knowing when to retreat is a really important skill in 0K. And knowing how strong the enemy army is also important in 0K. When the commander is upgrading a commander, it can be tricky to know how strong the enemy commander is. Like you probably have to like check a mouse over the enemy commander and get this and see what level the enemy commander is, or how much metal they have invested in the commander, and you get an estimate of how good it is, of how much they upgrade the commander. And if you can also do hold the spacebar and then click left click on the commander to get these bars, then you can even check out the exact stats of what modules they have and what weapons they have to see what the enemy commander has. But yeah, before you learn what the enemy actually has, before you actually learn what the enemy commander does and what different enemy units does, it's hard to estimate how strong your army is and when it is time to retreat and when it is not time to retreat. So yeah, it takes a lot of time if you want to learn all the matchups and be able to win and when to retreat. So yeah, you're doing pretty good commander rating here, you could say. The commander is upgraded quite a bit. You invested like 1,500 metal in this commander, and you have some brawlers on Nimbus here to protect and help your commander, and Nimbus are decent protecting your commander. But now you're running into Lance Raid, you retreated your commander against them, and that's a smart choice, because if you're advancing, the enemy is gonna spot you all the time with line of sight, and you're gonna lose your commander easily. So yeah. So retreating there was a wise choice. You're not quite paying attention to this Nimbus. You get 1 max for it at least, but that's some expensive losses. So yeah. And now you're gonna run your commander into this whole army, and this commander will surely win against your lone commander. Meanwhile, you're sending out a bigger force this time. That's nice. Yeah, the enemy has moved somewhere else, so you're gonna be able to kill this position easily. Meanwhile, you're losing your commander to this force. Yeah, if you had known and had radars like here, or like, yeah, you would have probably stayed down here with your commander actually, because yeah, you can't fight this commander with your lone commander. You could easily have driven over this position. Like, I wouldn't recommend anyone to build 2 shields just to protect 2 Lotus. Like, yeah, that's not how you use shields. It's easy to get under the shields with raiders and just overrun the shield for cost. Yeah, that's an expensive assault. And this is kind of interesting. You have kind of a decently large army here, and you could probably kill the whole base with this. But it looks like the enemy's reacting in time, so they're gonna be able to get in here and help before they lose all of their base. But this was a pretty good result. Like, the enemy's not prepared for this. You probably want to try and focus fire down the lands the first thing you can. Because that removes a bit of DPS, and it's, yeah, you don't want that firing enemies. It's a valuable target. And here David is saying that he lost his army, and yeah, it wasn't too bad for him. His army got back in time before real damage could be done. So if we look at the value kill, yeah, that's the best attack that Insert has done, but David isn't doing that much. He lost quite a bit, so yeah. Yeah, Insert still lost a lot of value there. Or was that also his commander? That was probably also his commander in there, so yeah. That was a pretty decent attack, but you're still gonna leave a lot of reclaim there, so yeah. And you're still not expanding? If your attention is on point, you could be expanding here behind your army and start reclaiming this. Like, for example, if we check all the reclaim on the map right now, it's like 7,000. That's a lot of reclaim. And the army that you just cleared, that's, yeah, 1,500 metal, and yeah, there's a lot of value around the map. And you start the crow and then you cancel it. Oh, that's gonna be a lot of excess. Yeah, you excess quite a bit because you didn't have a storage when your commander died. So that's when you wanna build a storage, just when your commander dies. Otherwise, you don't generally need storages in 1v1. Yeah, and at this point, you still haven't advanced and taken this max. And you still haven't taken this max. Yeah, there's a lot of, not this max. So yeah, you need, I think you should mix in. You have like, this unit combination that I've chosen to go for is pretty decent. Like you put your factory on repeat and you have 2 maces, 3 halberds, 3 scalpels, 3 halberds. Yeah, that's pretty good. But also mix in 1 or 2 quilts in there, just so we have build power out on the field. Like right now, you just have 2 kills out, quilts, and they're not really doing anything. Oh, I mean, they're doing stuff, but yeah, you want to be in the middle and taking mexes and expanding, and yeah. So yeah, and you overrun this position, no problem. These shields, yeah, you lost 1 scalpel. Was that all you lost? Yeah. Like making Aegis shields in this front wall position is a bad idea. It's not worth it to protect just a few Lotus turrets. Yeah. So yeah, I'd recommend just having a few, like 1 or 2 kills in this repeat queue, so that you have some, so that you send some kills to the front line to build mexes and reclaim. And then you can even expand behind your army. Like, yeah, you can be expanding behind your army even. and then you can, if you have the attention, you can retreat the quills if your army dies. Like if you send in your army to kill the enemy base, and you lose your army, you can just send back the quills. So this is a pretty small army. I mean, the enemy might not have an army here, and they barely have an army, although 2 lances are going to be hard to approach. So they have a lot of army value here, but it's not like a strong army if you just try to overrun it. And yeah, it looks like he's gonna choose to advance. Oh, and this commander, how much? Yeah, he upgraded for like 11,000. The enemy has invested 11,000 in this commander. That's a lot of investment. And following that, it's just an army of, yeah, 4,600. So yeah, he could have had 3 sides. Basically, that army times 3, like, yeah, 3 times that army size he could have had. So yeah. Yeah, I'd say they were pretty close to dealing with this commander. The enemy invested in this commander so heavily that you almost kill it several times. But really, it came down to you sending in your army piecemeal. Like you had small armies, and you sent in the bolas and the halberds first, and then the maces and the scalpels came. You want to make them able to arrive at the enemy at the same time, so they don't die one by one, or like in this case you have like basically 2 separate forces going in and dying one by one, because the units move at different speeds. So yeah, I'd suggest you try to keep a bit more attention to that. And then, yeah, it takes experience to get better at knowing when to retreat. It takes a lot of experience because there's so many different factories and so many different matchups. And then also knowing how strong the enemy commander is. Yeah, that's hard. Like if you mouse over, you can see what level they are and how much they invested into that commander. And that gives you an estimate how good they are. And if you space and left click, you can get exact stats of what weapon the enemy has or what modules the enemy has, which is sometimes important. Like you want to know if the enemy, for example, has a disengager gun, then you don't want to get close with a heavy unit to it, or you don't want to get your commander close to it. Yeah. And maybe like this commander, it should be pretty easy to overrun because it has a heavy particle beam, and that's the only weapon. It has a reload time of 3.1 seconds, so this commander is easy to overrun with span. So if this commander is lonely, you can easily overrun it with raiders or something fast and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah. So if we look at the metal produced here, the enemy was always ahead. But then we look at the metal use, and it took quite a while. You were almost even in metal used at parts of the game. And that's because the enemy accessed more metal than you. And then you also raided the enemy metal income, their mexes. And then you got back to even again. But really, it was mostly the enemy got ahead by you losing so many units. You didn't trade efficiently at all, and the enemy just reclaimed that as well. So yeah, those are my tips for you. Good luck and have fun.